Hi everyone. This is honestly insane. I didn't expect so many people in here. Is it okay if I take a picture? Yeah! Thank you. Here on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you, thank you.
Did you get me?
I got you. Higher angle, it's more flattering, right? I got everyone, don't worry. Thank you all so much. I apologize, I'm having internet issues right now. But I'm gonna get this working, but in the meantime, we could do a Q&A. Will that work? And so if you have a question, please just line up in the middle, and I will try to answer your question as I get this internet going. I do. The internet's just a little slow, that's all.
A little?
We're making it work, don't worry.
Let me know when you're ready.
Take your time, Norm.
Go ahead.
Okay, so my main thing I want to know is if you're ever going to cover certain peripherals such as, the Sega 32X, CD, some of the obscure combination ones like the Sega CD one that has Genesis built into it. If you're ever going to cover those, and what's your opinion on those?
So I have covered the 32X.
I do remember.
And I have covered the JVC XI. But as you all know, Sega put out a lot of hardware. So it's really a matter of, I'm big on, I want to have the piece of hardware in my hand, I want to experience it, and I want to film it all pretty, So if I can get a hold of them, sure, definitely would do those episodes.
I don't remember, but have you done an episode on the Nomad yet?
I have.
Yes, okay.
My favorite D-pad ever made is on a Sega Nomad.
Just let me understand again. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Hello.
Hi. I just want to know, what's your favorite piece of device to kind of do the review or do a video on?
Advice for a video?
No, your favorite piece of hardware that you reviewed on a video.
Oh, my favorite piece of hardware, or just favorite video in general?
Or video in general.
Okay. My favorite video that I have ever made is the video on Mario Paint.
Yes.
And the reason I love that video, so I did a vote on Patreon for a topic, and people wanted a Mario Paint video, and I was like, okay, great, and I started doing research, and I was like, oh, this video is going to be really short. Because obviously I can talk about Mario Paint and how the game works, but as far as development history, there's really not much on Mario Paint. And so I shifted the video to be more of a social history of Mario Paint. So how did Mario Paint influence people growing up, and how it made an impact on them? And I love the background music. And it turned into this really cool social history, and there's people making really cool stuff with Mario Paint, and there's game developers that were inspired by Mario Paint, so I love that video, and I love how it came together, so good question. Thank you.
Yeah, didn't Homestar Runner, wasn't the first Homestar Runner video?
First Homestar Runner was a Mario Paint animation.
Yeah. Anyway, so I remember I found you on a website called Retroware many years ago.
Oh yes, Retroware.
Now,
May it rest in peace.
Yeah, seriously, honestly, Retroware. Anyone who remembers that site, I don't know, yell. Yeah! See, a few people.
Yeah.
So I was wondering, there's a lot of people who are on that site who don't really have much of a footprint anymore. One of which is Roof from the Clan of the Grey Wolf. Whatever happened to some of those people? Do you know?
Joey.
I miss Joey. He never did finish his Dragon Quest retrospective.
So, most people from Retroware are still around making stuff, but specifically, I actually saw Joey last month at a convention in Connecticut, and he just came up to hang out with everyone, and he's doing great. He's married, he does community theater, has a nice job, he's a scientist, so.
Tell him I missed him.
I'll let him know. He would love to hear
finished that Dragon Quest retrospective, it's been 10 years.
That's a good video, if you haven't checked it out.
Anyway, my favorite video of yours is the Tetris video. It's just incredible.
Thank you very much.
One of the greatest short form documentaries I've ever seen on YouTube. It's
oh wow.
Absolutely impeccable.
Wow, thank you.
I agree.
They're making a movie about that story.
I knew they would!
It will be on Apple TV, I think.
Oh.
Sorry. Okay. So I think I can tell this story now. I was approached by some Hollywood writers to make a movie about that story. Because they're like, we saw your documentary, this is fascinating, this would make a great movie, we want to write a screenplay, and we want to work with you on it. And I said, yeah, let's do it. And then a couple months later, I heard back from them, they're like, oh, somebody already bought the rights to this story, and they already wrote the script, so, sorry. And that's the movie that's coming out on Apple TV. So there you go.
Let's boycott it!
No, you don't have to do that. I'm sure it'll be good. I think somebody that made he directed one of the X-Men movies, he's directing it. I have no idea. What's your question, sir?
Hi, Ian. So, it's maybe hard to answer, but
Okay.
Like, so, which one of your videos do you think that was the most challenging to make?
Most challenging to make. Okay. I have two answers for this. The first one would be the Tetris video,
Of course.
because there's just a lot of information and a lot of people involved and a lot of contracts and political disputes and everything. So just keeping track of all the information was tough. The second hardest video I ever made was the light gun video. And the reason is getting all the hardware to work was difficult, getting all those light guns was difficult. So I think from a technical standpoint, that one was harder to make.
I guess it's because the lights are too expensive.
That, if you're familiar with that light gun video, there's one light gun in that video called the Bondi Hypershot, which had haptic feedback, so it, rattled like an actual submachine gun. It only came out in Japan, and it was very expensive to get, as Mr. Dink would say, very expensive. Yeah, good question. Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot.
Hello, sir.
Hello. So many of your videos, you have to interview former heads of companies, old people who worked on certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Throughout all of these various different videos you've made, there's so many contacts that you've established. What is your favorite side story with one of those individuals that you maybe tell, or which was the most personally fulfilling to get to interact with?
So I think my favorite interview I ever did was with Dave Capper, who made the U-Force. The U-Force controller. I know, it's not a great controller, but Dave Capper himself was a very nice man, and he was a great interview. He had a lot of great sound bites, but he invented so many other things. So, koosh balls. He was involved with koosh balls. Do you guys remember, I think they're called sound bites. It's a lollipop that plays music when you eat it. He invented that. He also invented, I can't remember the name of this product. It came out in the early 2000s. It was like a 15-second clip of a song. Hit clips. That's Dave Capper. Yeah. So he was a great interview, and he kept everything. So I was talking to him, he was like, oh yeah, the U-Force. Yeah, I have the prototype of that. And he just brought out this black box with red LED lights, and it still worked. So, definitely him. That was a great interview.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
First of all, I want to say thank you for making your videos, because if it wasn't for you, I would have never known about retro gaming in the first place.
Wow.
I found your videos when I was 5.
Oh my gosh.
That's how I got into all of this. This is why I care about Frogger. But yeah.
That's amazing. Just for reference, I started my YouTube channel 14 years ago in 2008. So that's amazing that 5 years old. That's crazy.
but my real question, what's your favorite era of gaming?
Ooh.
Because saying a console's kind of lame.
Yeah, so there in the historical community, there's a big debate about console eras, like, oh, the first generation of consoles, the second generation consoles, because it's like, well, they came out in such random times, like, how can you group them all into a generation, you know? My favorite era right now, it kind of shifts. I don't know if you have noticed this on my channel currently, but I have covered a lot of stuff that came out around 1990 and 1991. And that was a great era because it was the end of the NES, or actually probably the peak of the NES era, and then the 16-bit era begins, and that was just a really cool time. So I'm kind of into that right now. That's a good question. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
So the question I have is, which topic that you have done a video on has been the most difficult to research?
Most difficult topic to research. Ooh, I don't know. That's a good question. Some of the harder videos to make are, so I'm not a super technical person. So doing a video like on the U-Force or the Mega Modem, I had to like learn how modems work and like all the lingo involved with a modem. Like there's a term called the baud rate of a modem, and I was like, baud rate? And that's like an old school term for the speed of the modem, I guess?
Except not exactly.
Yeah, it's a little different. So I would say stuff like that, like the technical, or learning how the U-Force worked. And I had to learn about like, what I do honestly is I have a friend who's an engineer, and I pay him to like look at patents of like the U-Force. And I was like, I want you to explain this to me like I'm 10 years old. How does the U-Force work? And he writes me up a document and says, here's how it works, here's the technology he uses. So
You have an interpreter.
he's basically a translator. Yes. Another thing that's difficult is so for like the Super Mario World video, I got a lot of magazines from Japan. I don't speak Japanese and I don't read Japanese. So I have a friend who translates all of these articles for me, and I feel bad because I send him stuff all the time. But you know, he's compensated, and that can take some time to get stuff translated. But good question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
So, first of all, I would like to say I really like your videos, and I've kind of been daydreaming to see you, and my favorite thing about your videos is your voice.
Oh, thank you. A lot of people come up to me at conventions, and I know this is a compliment, but they say, oh my gosh, I love your voice and your narration. I watch it when I go to sleep. And I get it because I like the ASMR thing. Like I fall asleep to ASMR videos all the time. My favorite is Gentle Whispering, great ASMR channel.
Yeah, but my main question is,
yes.
What do you think about the Game Boy camera, and what do you know, and what can you tell us about it?
Wow. So I have never researched the Game Boy camera, so I can't really tell you much about its development, but I can say that growing up, I wanted a Game Boy camera very, very badly. And I remember the commercials, smile, you're on Game Boy camera, you remember this? So, cool piece of technology. Would definitely love to do a video on it one day. And there's the printer as well, you can print photos off. So yeah, thank you.
All right, yep. Oh.
Hello.
Hello. I gotta say, I've been a big fan of your videos for a long time, from back in the RetroWare TV days.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I was just wondering, would you ever cover the Pioneer Laser Active?
If you can get me one, I'll do it. Send it to my P.O. box, I'll do it. Any topic I'm totally open to doing. It's just a matter of getting my hands on it, you know?
Yeah, that's understandable.
Yep.
By the way, my favorite video of yours is the one on Tengen.
Tengen! Oh, yeah! That was, the Tengen video was kind of my beginning of, I wanted to make this more documentary style, PBS style video. So Tengen was kind of the first one of those that I did that was really what I was looking for. So thank you very much. Yeah, that was a fun video.
Hi.
Hi.
Love your videos.
Thank you.
And I want to say you're very well spoken just in person. That's really cool.
Oh, thank you very much.
Anyways, I just watched your Super Mario RPG video.
Okay.
That one. But my question is, thanks for pulling all these like obscure things in. I love getting to see all of those. But the question is, how do you go about one, finding out about all these, getting them, and then I'm a collector, as I'm sure a lot of us here are, but how much of that stuff do you get to keep in the game?
So most things that I film on the show I've purchased with, you know, all those big YouTube bucks I made. Swimming in money, I don't know what to do with it. So yeah, you know, most of the funds that I make from the show go back into the show, so I can buy these obscure things. And this, your other question of how do I find this stuff, are you referring to like some of the research stuff I find, or are you referring to like some of the topics I
find out about, like your recent, like the TV?
Oh, like the shark?
Yeah, how do you find out about it? Do you just like, I'm sure you're just continually researching, but like how do you choose which obscure products you want to cover?
So usually I stumble on, it's funny, I stumble upon stuff when I'm researching other stuff. So with the Sharp SF1, I was researching for the Super Mario World video, and I was reading these Japanese magazines, and they had an article about the SF1. And I said, oh, well that's really interesting, and I just make a little note in my notebook, Sharp SF1, and then when I'm looking for a new topic, my notebook has a huge topic list, and I just kind of, I organize it by category, and I just say, well, let's do a hardware one. I feel like making a hardware video, and I saw the SF1. Yeah. So it's really, I just stumble upon it, and if I think it's interesting, I'll do a video on it. Yep.
Sweet. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hello.
Hi.
So I just want to say something first.
Okay.
I love a lot of your videos.
Thank you.
I mean, one of the early ones I had watched, it's kind of one of your early days back then.
When I was like 10 years old?
Like back then, like almost 9 to 10 years ago.
Okay.
It was like, one of the first ones I remember watching was the Game Genie.
The Game Genie video.
Oh,
Yeah.
As well as the Universal versus Nintendo case.
Uh-huh.
Well, I also been watching. One of my favorite videos, I say, is, well, one of them is the Mega Man games on Sega.
The Mega Man Sega games, okay.
It got me, what made me to find out about the Sega Genesis Wily Wars. In fact, I just recently got the Wii release.
Yeah, okay, so they re-released Wily Wars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were selling some of it at the Expo Center. And another one of my favorites is, of course, the Tetris video, because it was so informative. It's like you wouldn't expect a game about blocks to have so much history about it.
All right, there's a story behind every game.
Even a game as simple as blocks.
Yeah.
For my question.
All right, what's your question?
If you would have to choose which video, which video you want to remake, if you were to remake any video, which one would it be?
If I had to remake any video, this is a video, it would probably be, I did a video on when Nintendo bought the Seattle Mariners. And I love that video, but I got, as some of you might know, I got sent a cease and desist from Major League Baseball. And they said, you have to delete this video and all evidence of this video. So I did. There is a bootleg version on YouTube, and wink wink. But I would love to remake that video and like work with MLB on it, and maybe like, you know, I made it 6 years ago, and back then MLB was like you cannot upload MLB clips unless it's on the official MLB YouTube channel. But I feel like they've gotten a little more relaxed on that rule, so I'm hoping. I would like to. I'd like to remake that video and not be threatened with litigation.
That was my question.
Yeah.
Again, I love your videos, and I hope you continue making quality videos for years to come.
Thank you very much. Hello.
Well, this is awkward. My question was, how do we get the Nintendo and the Seattle Mariners videos back?
Well, I can talk a little more about it. So, you know, they sent me a cease and desist, and I said, well, how am I gonna? So I emailed their licensing team, and I was like, I want to use all these clips. I sent them a list, and they said, oh yeah, we'll look into how much this will cost, and it was like, it was. It would have. I couldn't afford it. Let's just say that it was a lot of money. So then I thought, well, maybe I can work with like an animator. We can animate the clips and use like the audio, but that was going to be a huge hassle.
I feel like people use highlights of baseball games and stuff on their YouTube videos all the time.
Yeah, but you know they're just haters. They just want to see me fail. But yeah, like I said, but that's why I think they're a little more relaxed now, because there's channels like John Boy Media that commentate on MLB clips all the time, and it's like, I don't know. And these clips are from the '80s. You know?
This is what you get for only having them play.
They should ask MLB again or something. See if we can get that back up.
We'll see if we can make that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, it's VLC Media Player, my favorite media player. If I could say, huge fan. Been using you since high school. So thank you. Thank you for all your work.
Quick thinking. You're in the building. Donkey Kong is real. He is here. He is throwing barrels at the inhabitants. All you have is a plushie Mega Man arm cannon and a toy figure of Kirby. What are you doing to save the population of this building before we all die?
I just run and get help. I'd call the police or something.
Mental note taken. See you.
Hi, yeah, I've been watching your videos since I was like 13, 14 years old.
Oh, here we go again.
I'm only 15, don't worry about it. So like with your Mario Paint video, how you did more of like a retrospective on like the cultural impact of the game. Have you thought about doing any more videos on how certain games or peripherals or certain things have impacted certain niche cultures like that?
Earthbound, Halo.
Yes, to your question, and yes to whoever shouted Earthbound. That's a great example of a game that has made a huge cultural impact. But yeah, I would love to do more of those. Actually, the next video I'm doing, which I wanted to talk about in this panel, has made a huge social impact, and we'll talk about it here in a minute. So,
thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Hello.
Hey, I've been watching since I was 30. This is fantastic. All right. Real question though. What unsubstantiated game rumor, right, game industry rumor, would you love to find out is true and then investigate?
A rumor that I found out is true?
Well, if you have one that's true, that's fantastic. But if there's one you've heard and you're like, oh, I gotta find out if this is true or not.
Oh gosh, okay. There is a few. All right, so I do want to point out one that is false, that I thought was interesting. Have you guys heard that quote from, it's a famous Shigeru Miyamoto quote. A good game is, what is it? A delayed game is eventually good, a rush game is bad forever. So that's attributed to Miyamoto, but he didn't actually say that. It seems like something he might say, but somebody tweeted, they're like, I can't find the source for this quote, which is true. There's no direct source for that quote. It was a quote from another game developer from like the late 90s in a magazine. I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was, but yeah, not Miyamoto. So as far as like what rumors that are true, I was interviewing a guy, and I can't reveal who it is. He told me there was a company smuggling cocaine in arcade cabinets. And I was like, whoa, do you have like more information on this? And he was like, I can tell you who to talk to. I'm telling you, it's true. They got busted by the FBI, and I'm just like, wow, look into this. So I'm working on it. Yeah. Also, there is no left-handed power glove.
Does this mean that video games
Thank you.
really are addicting?
I mean, if you're playing that.
Hello. Hey, I just want to say thank you so much for doing what you do. Like,
you're welcome.
It's awesome. I was gonna say your last thing definitely takes winners don't do drugs on the arcade cabinets to a different level.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So the question I had for you, I'm a big Mario fan. Do you have a favorite Mario game?
Oh yeah, Super Mario Brothers 3.
Mario Brothers 3?
Yeah, that's my favorite Mario game.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I grew up playing it. Me and my brother played it. I just have good memories with it, and it's a good Mario game.
It's a really good game.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
All right, it's gonna look a little ridiculous. Don't mind me. All right. Hi, Norm. My
Hello.
name is Indica.
Hi.
First off, I'm sure you're gonna hear this from everybody, but thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Watching your videos has always been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Just like everybody else, been watching them since high school, and actually, I have you to thank for being one of the reasons why I actually made a video game club back in high school.
Oh, that's awesome.
Maybe like 6 years ago.
That's cool. Anytime like educational endeavors are involved with my videos, I'm thrilled. So thank you.
Yeah, it was actually pretty funny. It was convincing an English teacher that this was for educational purposes. So that's what I used your channel for.
Yeah.
We really just brought a couple consoles and had friends play.
Yeah.
So.
You can say, look, this guy made an hour video about Tetris. Look at this.
Yeah, see,
This is great.
it's super educational, all that jazz.
Yeah.
But because of that, I actually got into video game retrospectives.
Okay.
I'm happy to thank for that.
You're welcome.
Else I wouldn't be collecting any history. Question for you.
Okay.
What's probably the one topic that you've looked up that you just hated? Hated making a video on it, hated looking up. It was just a
A video that I
was
hated
not
making.
fun whatsoever.
Oh, man, I don't know if I can say this.
Absolutely boring.
A boring video. Gosh, I don't know.
I think you do.
A boring video. Okay, well. Okay, I did not love making the Aladdin deck enhancer video. Listen, okay, it's a very interesting piece of hardware, but the games on it are just really bad, and I had to play all of them, and I had to record the footage, and a lot of the footage, because when I record footage, I want to show like decent gameplay of the game, but these games are so broken, it's kind of hard to get decent gameplay, so I had a tough time making that video. Yeah.
Well, then from all of us in the audience to you, thank you for going through all that.
You're
it's
welcome.
actually a pretty fun video.
Thank you. My sacrifice.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. We have time for 2 more questions, I think.
Hi there.
Hello.
So first of all, I'm not gonna you already know I've watched your videos, but I also back in 2016 won your Jeopardy thing at Game on Expo.
Yes.
So, but my actual question is, when it comes to like researching for videos, have you ever gone down like a rabbit hole and lose focus on like the main thing you're trying to research on?
Yeah, it happens a lot. Yeah. I mean, I've spent an entire day verifying one sentence in my script. It's true. Like I'll read something and I'll be like, well, I need to figure out where this came from, and I'll just like go down a rabbit hole trying to verify one sentence. And yeah, like with the SF1 video, one thing that drove me nuts was the extension port on the back. It's not the same as the one on the Super Nintendo. It's a totally different port, but it says it's the extension port. And I was like, what, is it the same? What does it do? And you know, there's only two things that came out on that extension port. It's that Exertainment bike and the Satellaview, which doesn't even work anymore. So it's like, how do I even verify this thing works? So, yeah. I definitely go down rabbit holes. I feel like, you know that It's Always Sunny meme with Charlie Day and the board, and he's like trying to piece everything together. Yeah, I mean it happens all the time.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Oh, yeah, Charlie Day is Luigi. I think he'll do a good job. Chris Pratt on it. I'm gonna give him a chance.
So I've got a research question as well.
Okay.
I'm just kind of curious what your process and methodology is. Kind of like where you start when you start researching a topic, and if you hit any dead ends, and what you do to kind of overcome them.
Sure. So obviously the first thing is you pick a topic, and I always try to pick a topic that I'm interested in and that I'll have fun researching. And then it's really just, I just pull every resource I can. I just cast a wide net, and I just try to find everything I can on that. And then I have to piece it all together and tell a cohesive story with all that information. And that's basically history. If you're a historian is just like a really good stalker.
So you mentioned like the Japanese magazines. So
Yes.
how would you even go about finding like the topic that you're researching and which magazines? I'm sure there's so much.
So what I do is I have a hard drive that has an archive of Japanese magazines that have been scanned, and they're usually available on like the Internet Archive. And I download them all, and I put them in folders by year and the name of the magazine, and then I index them with Adobe Acrobat because Adobe will scan all the text and make it searchable, and then I can just Control F and look for whatever, and it'll pull up every magazine that has ever mentioned the Sega Mega Movie.
Awesome.
You know, something like that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Final question.
Last thing here for you. So, are you ever going to cover topics such as the composition of certain songs, like Super Mario Bros. Theme, Green Hill?
Video game music, yes. Like dedicated videos, I'm not sure yet. I've never thought about doing that, but I do love. Actually, in this next video, I talk about the music quite a bit. So yeah, I definitely love that aspect. It's always cool to see the mindset of the composers when they're making this stuff and the limitations they had to overcome. That's always the most interesting part.
Yeah, I was thinking also like, you know, something like the software they use to create music. I know there's one video floating around the internet about how they made music with gems on the Sega Genesis. So if you ever cover that, just like to see it, you know.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you all for the questions. I really appreciate it. We're short on time, unfortunately. But I guess we could leave it to a vote. I could do like a speed presentation on my next video, or we could do Jeopardy. I don't think we have time for both. This is not helpful. Show of hands, who wants the presentation? Show of hands, who wants Jeopardy? Oh, that's very cool. Alright, well let's do the presentation. I think I can do this in 10 minutes.
Hopefully you can. Hopefully.
Okay. Let me try to. I need my notes. You know. Slideshows. As long as I can pull up my notes, we'll be good. But I'm not seeing how I can do that. Well, this is awkward.
Jeopardy. Jeopardy?
No, I'll get this one. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. This might be a little, this is different, but I think it'll work. That's what I'm doing. So instead of extending, because usually I put the slideshow over here and then I have my notes here, but we're just gonna look at it. You guys see it? You guys see that? Yeah. So my notes are on the bottom. Don't read my notes. All right. Spoiler. Yeah, you're gonna get spoiled by this. Okay. Before I shouldn't have done that. This ruins my question. I was gonna say trivia. What's the best-selling game on the Super Famicom? It's Super Mario Kart. Yes. Yeah, this fact actually shocked me because Super Mario, it's the best-selling Super Famicom game, and that's beating Super Mario World, that's beating Dragon Quest, that's beating the Final Fantasies, which are huge games in Japan. But yeah, Super Mario Kart was the best-selling game on the Super Famicom. 3.82 million units sold, and the more important thing besides sales numbers is I want to talk about how Mario Kart kind of changed the social dynamic of a video game console in the living room. Because I'm sure you all have stories growing up of playing Super Mario Kart with your parents, or maybe your siblings, or maybe your friends. And it got probably pretty heated sometimes. But it was also friendly because the game allowed you to do like Grand Prix mode with your friend. You could play together and like try to win the trophy, which is what me and my best friend did growing up. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but Super Mario Kart's kind of a hard game. It's very difficult. So yeah, like one of us would like try to make sure the computer players weren't, we would like save our red shells and like wait for them to pass and then shoot them with the red shell. But this game started as a experiment, and it begins with F-Zero. F-Zero fans, all right. F-Zero was a launch title for the Super Famicom, which came out on November 21st, 1990. Got huge critical praise. It scored higher than Super Mario World in a lot of reviews. People were really impressed by the technological advancements with the Super Famicom, and F-Zero really showed it off with Mode 7, which Mode 7 takes a background layer and it can rotate it and distort it, and it can make it look like it's like a pseudo 3D effect, basically. So yeah, what you're seeing is like that hover car is a sprite, and he's racing on a background layer that's just been like distorted this way. But there was one major flaw with F-Zero. It was only a one-player game. It wasn't a two-player game. And so Shigeru Miyamoto was not a fan of that, because the Super Famicom came with 2 controllers. It did not come with a power adapter, it did not come with AV cables, but it came with 2 controllers. Okay? And so Miyamoto insisted it come with 2 controllers because he wanted developers to keep multiplayer games in mind. He didn't want them to like hold back when making their games. And so he wanted a 2-player racing game like F-Zero. So he went to 2 of his colleagues. One was Hideki Kono on the left, and the guy on the right is Tadashi Sugiyama. And they had, Hideki Kono had been with Nintendo since 1986. His first game was ice hockey. Fun little game. But he kind of got most of his experience working on the Super Mario team. So he worked on Super Mario Bros. 3 and Super Mario World. He did the maps in those games. And then Tadashi Sugiyama, he was in the creative department, and he actually worked with Miyamoto in the creative department, but he designed Popo and Nana from Ice Climber. But his biggest project was controversial. He did Zelda 2, The Adventure of Link. Oh, God. I know. Sugiyama also had experience using Mode 7 because he directed Pilot Wings as well, which is a great game. So this is an F-Zero racetrack. And like I said, it uses Mode 7, so it can manipulate this background layer. And if you notice these F-Zero tracks, they have super long straightaways. And they did that for a reason. It's because they wanted you to feel like you were going super fast. And so this background layer is about 100 screens.
Oh, wow.
It's 100 different screens. And so they tried to do this for 2 players. You have to make 100 screens appear twice on the television. And Hideki Kono and Sugiyama quickly realized they couldn't do this for 2 players. Super Famicom, technically it can do it, but at that time they were like, this is way too hard to make this work. And so they thought, well, maybe we can try something else. So they basically shrunk down the tracks. They made them small. This is 16 screens instead of 100. But they can't have those long straightaways anymore. They can only do twists and turns. So they can't use these super fast vehicles in F-Zero, but what would work? Maybe they could use go-karts? Maybe that would work? So go-karting, it's been around a while. It's a very popular amusement park ride, but it's actually a lot of F1 racers. Anyone a fan of F1 racing?
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. A lot of F1 racers start their training in go-karts. There is competitive go-kart racing still. There's one big problem though. No one on the development team had ever been in a go-kart. They had no idea how it handled. They had no idea what one really looked like. They just knew go-karts were a thing. And so one of the artists on staff, his name is Yoichi Kotabe, and he was from the anime industry. He was a veteran of the anime industry.
And he worked with Miyazaki too.
He did work with Miyazaki, yeah. So he was on the development team as an artist, and he's actually responsible for the Mario we see today. If you've ever seen the original artwork for Super Mario Brothers, Mario looks a little weird, and Princess Peach looks a little weird, and Bowser looks weird. Kotabe came in and said, we have to standardize all this. And that's how we have the Mario we see today. So he came in and he said, well, if you want to know what go-karts are like, you should just go ride in some go-karts. He said in the anime industry, we would just go do the thing that we wanted to draw, you know? So they went to an amusement park. Miyamoto did not want it to happen. He thought the budget would not allow it. But they insisted, and they went and they rode on some go-karts, and the illustrators took illustrations, and the programmers and the engineers got a feel for the physics of the kart and that low perspective and the slow speed. And so they took that information and they came up with a little prototype. So you see on the left we have this little generic guy with a helmet, you know, and some coveralls, and he's racing. And then they also experimented with these like hover carts, the F-Zero style. They were a lot slower, but they definitely loved the carts the most. The problem was everybody looked the same. So as you can see, they're just like different colored guys, and they said, well, design-wise, this doesn't look too good. And so they thought, well, maybe we can come up with characters that are, you know, distinct and recognizable from behind. And you'll never guess who they chose.
Sonic.
It wasn't Sonic. It was Mario. And I have to leave it at that. Sorry, we're out of time. But, thank you all.
Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and to the right are the playlist of the Portland Retro 2022 and some other interesting videos. Thank you.